Hey everyone, and welcome to the ATA podcast. I'm Matt Baird.
And I'm Andy Ho. This podcast is brought to you by the American Translators Association. Each month, we bring you news and insights from ATA. We look at what's happening across the association, explore the benefits of membership, and discuss the translation and interpreting professions.
That's right. You know, the T&I industry is always changing, and we hope this podcast will help you keep up with it. ATA was founded over 60 years ago to advance the translation and interpreting professions and foster the professional development of individual translators and interpreters. We have nearly 9,000 members in more than 100 countries.
If you'd like to know more about ATA, we'll have some information for you at the end of the show. And you'll also find links in the notes.
All right, let's get started with a few quick announcements.
Listen up, you won't want to miss this. On Thursday, December 14th, ATA is hosting a free virtual roundtable to discuss the film Translators, particularly the depiction of children as interpreters in the film. A diverse panel of experts from the language services industry, including researchers, language access advocates, and former child interpreters, will provide insights into the issue. Join us for this important event and tell your colleagues and friends about it. Follow the link in the show notes to register. Also, did you know that ATA has created 3 special interest groups, also known as SIGs, for financial translators, interpreters and translators in education in Southeast Asian languages? SIGs are similar to divisions. Members gain access to private groups to discuss terminology, share training opportunities, and find support for their unique challenges. Find links in the show notes to join. And finally, it's membership renewal time. Be sure to watch your inboxes for notifications and renew before the end of the year. If you're not a member but work in translation or interpreting fields, now is a great time to discover how ATA membership could work for you. Visit atanet.org to learn about all the benefits or follow the link in the show notes. Now, back to the show.
Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in. You're listening to episode 96. Today we're taking stock of where ATA stands at the end of 2023. You know, it's been a busy year for our association, a year of transition, so there's a lot to talk about. And it's my pleasure to welcome ATA President Veronica de Michelis to the podcast today to talk about it all. Veronica is an ATA certified English to Russian translator based in Houston, Texas. She has a master's degree in linguistics and intercultural communications and an MBA in human resources management. She's also an instructor for the Houston Community College Translation and Interpretation Program and a co-host of the Smart Habits for Translators podcast. Veronica, welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me, and thanks for hosting the podcast.
Thank you. It's really great to have you back. This is your 3rd time, I believe, with us this year.
Yeah.
But your first time in your new role as ATA president. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. We've got a lot to cover, as you well know, so let's get right into it. You know, every year at the conference, the ATA president basically gives what you might call the State of the Association speech at our annual meeting of all members. I was there this year in Miami. It was great. And your predecessor, Madalena Sanchez San Paulo, she gave that speech. And you'll, of course, have the honor of doing it next year in Portland. So today, I'd like to kind of share with listeners a few of the things I'd like to speak to you about, a few of the things that she talked about in her speech, and then dive into a few other topics. All right. So let's start with the association's financial stability. Madalena acknowledged in her speech that ATA could be financially stronger. And also outgoing ATA Treasurer John Milano, I should say former ATA Treasurer John Milan, he was outgoing at the time, he confirmed that in his report to the membership, which he gave at the same meeting. So both Madalena and John, I noted, indicated that ATA is moving forward in a moving toward a financially sustainable future. So could you first please explain why ATA could be financially stronger, and then what measures are being taken to ensure this financial stability in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I would just like to start off by thanking both Madalena and John and our former secretary, Elena Brandt, and all the board members who served on the previous ATA board for their leadership, for guiding the association throughout the years. Madalena in particular, I really enjoyed working alongside her, and I think she deserves a lot of praise for leading the association in some turbulent times. So to answer your questions, yes, financially, ATA could be stronger. We are still feeling the effects of the pandemic, which was really hard on our members and the association overall. But we also have, as we addressed in multiple previous podcasts, have had fewer members than we'd like to have over the years, and fewer conference attendees over the past 6 years, especially after the pandemic. It took a while until people were comfortable getting back together in person again. But both the ATA board and ATA headquarters have been working really hard to reduce our expenses wherever possible. We literally went through every a line of the budget, seeing where opportunities are for some cost savings. Our new executive director, well, not so new anymore, she's been with us for a year now, and I'll come back to that, to the impact she's made. She has been amazing in identifying cost saving opportunities for ATA. And even though ATA has been operating at a loss due to the effects of the pandemic, there have been a lot of changes made over the past year that are helping to move the association toward a financially sustainable future. We have moved to a smaller office. We have a smaller office footprint. We reduce costs wherever possible, from office equipment to the subscriptions that we have to a lot of other things, and rethinking future conference models, which will help make our annual conference cheaper to arrange than it typically is. And so all of these things overall, in addition to being proactive about growing our membership and exploring new revenue streams for the association, are helping bring us into a better financial position long term.
Right on. Now you've talked about a lot of change happening, and my
Right.
next question is about that, because Madalena also indicated in her State of the Association speech that AT has made it through a year of transition and great change. I think that's exactly what she said. So could you elaborate just a little bit more on that?
Yes, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we have a new executive director who's been with us for a year now. Our previous executive director, Walter Basak, left at the end of the annual conference in 2022. We brought on a new executive director, Kelly Baxter, who came to our association with a wide range of experience in the association world, including some really in-depth understanding of data, IT, experience in event planning, management, and more. So she really has been amazing at better securing AT's data, leading a transition to a more robust association management system, something I'll touch upon in a couple of minutes. And she built a really strong team at headquarters, which was a complex change as well. It's a change of culture, it's a change of personnel, which is difficult both for the people involved and for members. But I can really compliment Kelly on doing some amazing work with that. Changes in staffing have been great for better serving our members, which is, it's always sad to see some staff leave for various reasons, but newer staff have been great at coming on board with fresh ideas, working together as a team, and serving our members. Kelly also led the initiative to reducing ATA headquarters office footprint. We moved from our office at Reineckers Lane to a smaller office, still in Alexandria, Virginia. But since our staff is working in a hybrid working environment with most people working remotely and some on site, it just made sense to move to a smaller office. And our headquarters team has been working on transitioning to an association management software called Nimble, which is built on the Salesforce customer relations management platform. And so this is a transition as well that members will feel and see firsthand once the system is implemented. We'll have a new member portal, which will let ATA members log in. It's kind of like a one-stop shop to all the ATA member benefits, resources, information, education, invoices, receipts, and other member-specific tools. And that transition to this new association management software will result in less manual work for our staff as well, which means long-term time savings and a positive effect on ATA's bottom line. So yeah, a really difficult year of transition, lots of changes, but I think any change is difficult, and hopefully we're on the way to kind of out of that transition stage into let's roll up our sleeves and make things happen.
Now, a moment ago, you mentioned membership, and I think most members who follow the activities of the association rather closely have seen that the numbers have slowly been slowly but steadily declining over, say, the past 10 years or so. But I understand that the trend has shifted a little bit in 2023. And I also know from attending the Miami conference that our member retention rate remains over 80%, which I understand is really good. So maybe you can give us a little status update about the current state of membership growth and retention.
Right. Yes, our member retention rate is still strong and positive. With that, I would say the trend is pretty good this year. As of now, we have 8,445 total members in ATA. So we've been doing good at retaining members and growing our membership this year, and we're in the midst of member renewal phase right now. And while we'd love to see more professional translators and interpreters join, I think that we have strengthened our member benefits and resources in the past couple of years that show what great value it is to be a part of ATA. And I hope that many of our members feel that way. We've been better at highlighting what the association is doing for members and attracting new members. Our membership development committee, newly renamed from just membership committee to membership development, which I think highlights the strategic importance of that committee and the important work they do. They've been working really hard on engaging with members, understanding their needs, assessing the member survey results that we did recently to see how we can better serve our members. And we have a translation and interpreting program outreach initiative led by the members of the membership development committee and strategy committee to showcase the value of ATA membership to the new generation of translators and interpreters, students and instructors in T&I programs. We have launched the special interest groups in ATA to show that we are a welcoming community for translators and interpreters and language professionals working in languages of lesser diffusion or working with various specializations that don't currently have a division in ATA. We want to be that welcoming community nevertheless. And so all of our divisions as well in ATA have been great at spreading the word at how important that sense of community is to us in ATA, and that we'd love to have more members and make our current members feel welcome and valued.
Right on. So if I understood you correctly, membership has gone up in 2023, and I guess we can't call it a trend yet, but definitely we saw a shift this past year.
Yeah, a positive shift. Correct.
A positive shift. Excellent. That's such great news. Now, one of the things you just mentioned when talking about member benefits was professional development. That's actually where I'd like to move to now, because the PD committee has been pretty hard at work this year. And our professional development program continues to evolve. So can you tell us a little bit about what was on offer this year?
Yes, absolutely. Our professional development committee, chaired by Nora Diaz, has been doing some tremendous work. They are so dedicated, hardworking volunteers that help bring ATA members the highest level of continuing education opportunities, making sure that we represent different language-specific topics, subject-specific topics. They continue offering workshops, webinars, doing the professional development podcast series on specialization called Inside Specialization digitalization. We're doing the Back to Business Basics series of webinars that are free for members, and webinars called ATA Tech Talks that are done in collaboration with the Language Technology Division. And this year, the Professional Development Committee organized and executed a successful virtual conference that highlighted the challenges and opportunities brought about by artificial intelligence. And I look forward to seeing more from this committee because they have some great ideas on growing our professional development program that is already making a positive impact on ATA's bottom line, on our budget, on our revenue, and as well as the way we serve our members. And I'm sure our membership retention numbers are in large part thanks to that. I know the committee is working on some ideas for self-paced online courses and some other new things, and I'm sure they'll share more information soon whenever they're ready.
Excellent. Thank you for that update. The advocacy committee has also been very active this year. And in fact, I would say they scored what you might call a couple of big wins. Could you elaborate also now on this committee's actions and the impact they've made? And also, as a follow-up, how does advocacy sort of align with ATA's broader goals?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, this committee is really a powerhouse as well, led by Ben Carl, who's the chair of the committee. They always respond to calls for action and initiatives and requests from members and non-members, just fellow translators and interpreters who feel that they need help. They need help in advocating for themselves and their profession. They've responded to these calls of action this year. They stepped up in many ways that make us feel proud to be ATA members. They drafted letters to various organizations. They've participated in a panel to advise the Department of Health and Human Services on its draft of its 2023 Language Access Plan. They've drafted letters to support judicial interpreters in several states and support Senate Bill 52, a letter to the California State Senate Appropriations Committee expressing concerns about AB 1032. They participated in the drafting of an amicus brief together with our colleagues in the National Association of Judicial Interpreters and Translators, NAJIT, and the ACLU of New Jersey in support of a defendant's request for on-site interpreting in a criminal trial in New Jersey. And most recently, the Advocacy Committee and the Peer Committee have been working together to organize the virtual roundtable in response to the film called Translators. This roundtable will take place on December 14th, and the recording will be available on our website. But they've been doing some amazing work that really just is in response to one of the prongs of ATA mission to promote the recognition of the translation and interpreting professions and to advocate for the profession. And they do a lot of work to monitor what's happening on the local, state, and national level, provide recommendations to the board for responding to requests from various organizations, and address international, national, and local regulatory issues as needed.
Wow, that is really a lot. And just a little note to listeners, if you missed the announcement at the beginning of this podcast, the roundtable that Veronica just spoke about is just days away. If you haven't registered yet, check. There'll be a link in the show notes where you can get the Zoom link and register for the event. So please join us for that. I think it's going to be a very, very important discussion. Now, the strategy committee, I'd like to talk about that next. This is a relatively new committee. I understand it's only been around for a couple of years. I believe John Milan, who's the chair of the committee, mentioned that at the annual meeting. And the committee is sort of charged with advising the board on ATA's strategic direction. And one of the things it's done, or one of the tangible results of its work, was the completion of ATA's statement on ATA's statement on artificial intelligence, which was just released in November. So could you update us a little bit on what that committee has done, and also tell us about this statement and why ATA released it?
Absolutely. Yeah, the strategy committee is a relatively new one, but they do some important work on analyzing big picture trends in our profession and the world around us and the industries that we serve, how the T&I professions are changing and the challenges and opportunities that are out there. And I advise the board on some strategic consequences of that and the direction that the association should be taking. So the statement on artificial intelligence was drafted by the committee and reviewed and approved by the ATA board because it's important to have this conversation. It is important to recognize that this is a challenge and an opportunity. It is something that's been on everyone's radar and minds, especially this year as these tools went mainstream and everyone's talking about them. Many of our colleagues have been wondering how this affects their future career, how they can use these tools ethically, what they can do to advise their clients on the use of these tools. And we think it's important for everyone involved in language services to understand the potentials and pitfalls of artificial intelligence, the impact it's having on the translation and interpreting world. And we want our members to engage in conversation. This statement is pretty much a work in progress, a conversation to be continued, a beginning of the conversation on these topics as this technology and these tools evolve and change. And there are a lot of conversations happening in our world right now, in the T&I world, about the ethical considerations that we need to take into account as this work evolves. But we need to understand the possibilities and limitations of this new technology and advise our clients on what some caveats, what some pros and cons of their use are. So in brief, that is why that statement was released, and I look forward to seeing what the committee does in the future as far as updating that information and sharing more resources with our members and the world at large.
Me too. It's definitely a hot and fast moving topic. And I know it's not just our industry that's being impacted. It's being talked about almost across the board.
Right.
Now, Veronica, there are so many ATA volunteers out there keeping this big ship we call the American Translators Association running that we could literally, I think, go on for hours, but we don't have that much time. And I want to make sure I haven't missed anything in preparation for this podcast. So please, is there anything else you'd like to highlight from 2023?
Yeah, you're right. There's so much we could, I think we could talk about it for the whole day. There are so many committees and divisions that are doing great work and serving our members in many different ways. A few highlights from this year, I would like to mention the Business Practices Education Committee, who've been writing great articles on their Next Level blog. They're growing and continuing their masterminds program, the mentoring program. They've been hosting virtual brainstorm networking events and even launched a new offering this year called Power Hour co-working sessions that I really look forward to seeing how that develops. And most importantly, they finalized the updated modal contract for translators, which is now available on our website, and are currently working on a model contract for interpreters, which will be available soon. The peer committee has done amazing work as well, publishing articles for the revamped ATA Compass blog, more like client-facing, external stakeholders-facing blog about the importance and value of translators and interpreters. Of course, they continue their school outreach program. They're in the final stages of creating the ATA Guide to Buying Translation Services, another member benefit and resource I really look forward to seeing materialize. And I know they're already working on the guide for buying interpreting services. And of course, they're co-organizing the virtual roundtable that we mentioned before in response to the film Translators. Our certification committee has been managing ATA certification program. I think that's a huge feat as well because it's such an important program for ATA. And I would just like to flag as well our special interest groups again. We now have groups for financial translators, translators, interpreters and translators in education, and Southeast Asian languages. These are our pilot SIGs. We call them SIGs lovingly, short for special interest groups. And I hope that this pilot program is successful. I hope members find benefit and value in joining these groups so that we can make that a permanent feature of ATA and have an opportunity to create new groups in the future. So I would like to encourage everyone to spread the word about these current groups and join them if that's relevant for you. But I just want to thank all the committee chairs, all the members of committees for their hard work, and all the ATA divisions and their leadership for serving our members and providing so many opportunities and benefits to the members.
Hear, hear. I will second that. And now, though, you're serving the ATA as ATA president for the next 2 years, and your term is now in full swing, I guess we could say.
Right.
Can you share what your key goals are for the next 2 years?
Right, absolutely. I want to make sure that ATA is on solid financial footing and remains relevant. I want to help our members, our board, our leaders, volunteers to bring ATA into a state of being an association of the future. We need to evolve and grow with the needs of our membership. We need to provide the support and resources that our members need with the challenges and opportunities that we're all facing today. So we need to make sure our association evolves as well. And I want to make sure our membership is even more attractive and that we welcome underrepresented groups to ATA. Of course, empowering members with relevant information, with resources, with high quality training, with networking opportunities so that they feel they have what they need to maintain and evolve their careers. And last but not least, my other focus is to promote collaboration with sister associations, with membership organizations that share common interests and the goal of advancing the T&I professions. I think that dialogue and joint initiatives between us will be more important than ever in the future. So I look forward to doing that.
Well, thank you so much for that, Veronica. That about wraps it up from me. Is there anything else you'd like to share with listeners before we go?
Yes, thank you, Matt. I would just like to encourage our listeners to join us. ATA needs your voice. We need your talents, and we have a lot to offer to you too. Our association is really strong because of our dedicated core of active volunteers. We have a wealth of opportunities for you to make a difference, to shape the future of our professions, and to develop your interpersonal, professional, and leadership skills. So I hope that you join ATA or renew your membership and lend us your talents, lend us your ideas, and help us make our voices and our future stronger.
Veronica, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I wish you best of luck as you lead our association over the next 2 years.
Thank you so much, Matt.
All right, that's a wrap. We'd like to thank everyone who helped produce today's show.
Chris Silva recorded the announcements. Derek Platts mixed and edited the audio. ATA headquarters provided editorial and technical support.
If you learned anything new in today's podcast, I bet there's someone out there who would like to know it too. Don't be stingy. Tell them about the podcast. I've gotten to know so many great podcasts that way. I promise they'll thank you for it.
And if you're not an ATA member, listen up. I've been a member for over 20 years. Joining ATA literally launched my freelance career. It opened the door to a profession I knew very little about, and attending my first annual conference led to my very first freelance job.
And I joined for the first time in 2004 as a student. My first conference blew my mind. Nowadays, the demand for translators and interpreters is at an all-time high, but finding quality work isn't easy. ATA membership can make the difference. And ATA isn't just for translators and interpreters. We have teachers and professors, hospital administrators, language company owners, and technology developers, just to name a few. Companies and institutions can join too. Our membership includes language companies, universities, and government agencies.
If you'd like to know more, go to ATA's website, atanet.org. You can also check out past episodes of this podcast where we talk about the benefits of membership and what's currently happening in the association.
But before you go, please take a quick moment to give us a rating or write a review. Tell us what you like, why you listen, or about your favorite guest. Your feedback is super helpful, and reviews help other listeners find the show too.
We'd really appreciate hearing from you. Thanks again for listening, everyone. Talk to you again soon.